you curious what the new NARM 68 rulebook looks like? Well, you're in luck, because today I'm going to be reviewing the new NARM 68 rulebook. And why? Well, it's just arrived today. So let's get this unwrapped. We'll head down to the workbench and we'll have a good in-depth look at the rulebook and what it looks like. So here we have NARM 68 Tour of Duty rulebook, which is a skirmish combat set of rules for the Vietnam War. And I have to say, I've bought some of Warwick's work in the past, main one being Battle Group, but I've also got Soldiers of Rome, and I have to say his work is really impressive, and he's clearly taken many years of experience and knowledge and skill and thrown it into this book, and it is really good to see the quality. So let's open it up and have a look. Those who are familiar with Warwick's work will not be surprised in the slightest at seeing this opening double page spread picture. It just shouts of Warwick's work from books like Battle Group and so on. The one thing that I love about Warwick's work is the amount of pictures that he includes of models and the quality he gets, and mixes that in with a nice mix of historical photos as well. The layout of this book is very similar to many others that he's written, Battle Group being the main one that springs to mind. Obviously a good contents page. We really worked through the idea of the game and what you'll need to play, and then moves on very much into what you need. It is worth noting at this point, these two sections. So there's a bit on this gaming social contract and notes on narrative wargaming. I think it's really interesting. You don't see this a lot in rule sets, but Warwick puts it in there, and it is because of how important that is to him in how he's written these rules. And I think it really does appeal to particularly players like me who really like narrative wargaming, but also understand actually, you know, gaming is about socializing with people and having fun. It's not about winning at all costs, and I think that's really important and really great that Warwick has brought that out in these rules. Now moving on, we then go very much into the sort of core mechanics, the various different elements that you'll need to know about when playing NARM 68. And it's, you know, the book once again is filled with great pictures and diagrams. We also have an example of a turn here, so you can get a sort of a sense of how that would work, which is very useful, particularly for somebody like me who's dyslexic. And I find that Warwick's rule books are really set out well for somebody with dyslexia, and I find it very easy to follow through what he's saying. Obviously we then go through things like firing. Again, you know, the things you need to know are in clear boxes, and the process is a stepped guide through the action. Really like the way how Warwick has also put into this book some good historical context for people. So as we move through here, we're looking at wounded, casualty evacuation, all that good stuff, and I think it's really nice to put that in. I'm just looking for an example right here. Flak vests. So what Warwick's done here is put in this box with a little bit more information about flak vests and, you know, the context of them, and that feeds into then the additional optional rule about flak vests. And I think that additional information just really helps the player get into understanding the period a bit more, and also the context as to why things have been written like they are, or why things have been included. So yeah, we go through a lot of the core mechanics, the support elements. We go through morale, and again, I'm looking forward to reading this in more detail. noting on this page, some of these bits look very similar to the chit system that is in Battle Group. I don't know whether it's going to work quite the same, so I'm really looking forward to finding out a bit more. But again, it'll be interesting to see sort of the flavors that we quite often get from Warwick, whether they've been thrown into NARM 68 as well. I certainly hope so. Again, going back to the context, more weapons of the Vietnam War, and I particularly like this page talks about the M16 versus the AK-47, and you know, if you know, from what I know of Warwick, I know that he's very much into his history, has read a lot of history, and so it's really nice to see that coming out in his rule sets. Obviously, he writes historical war games, but you know, not all historical war games include history about the period. So you know, it's really good to see. Got a nice element here on US forces in Vietnam, and then breaking it down into actually the men of the platoon, which is what this game focuses on. So it goes through some of the different roles within the platoon, some of the requirements, restrictions, talks about standard issue equipment, which is, you know, really interesting and good to know as well for this game. And it does, Warwick also here sets out the organisation for a US infantry platoon and US Marine Corps infantry platoon, which means it's good that we've got those options, whether we can go US Army or US Marine Corps. There is a little bit here about US Airborne Infantry as well, and US Armoured Cavalry as well. So I think those are options we'll get in this book as well. Moving on, we have a look at some attached specialists and some vehicles. I believe there are some vehicle data sheets in this. Not a huge amount, but enough certainly to get the vehicles that we'd expect to see. And then we get on to the being the referee section. So this game essentially is a player or group of players versus a referee who plays the VC force. And I think this is maybe a little uncommon in wargaming. We don't always have somebody being a referee. So I think it's really good that Warwick's put this section in. Certainly for myself, I'll be reading this closely to understand the role and what the referee can do. And then we go into some scenarios, and again, the way the games are built up. There's some missions. I think there's about 10 in total. They're laid out really well. I really like the format of them, very clear with some really nice diagrams, and again, those wonderful pictures of miniatures. Him and Pierce have obviously worked really hard to make these photos as good as ever. So that's really nice to see. Location as well, location of where these scenarios are taking place is included. It is incredibly detailed without being overwhelmingly so. And then we get into some optional elements. So civilians are optional. We also have some other bits such as subplots, which are optional. And again, all of this can be added to your games to build up the layers. We then have this really nice piece on the Viet Cong forces and essentially, you know, how you're finding out what forces you're facing. We go through this. It's really nicely laid out, very clear, makes a lot of sense. We get all the additional bits like the infiltrators, the hideouts, the booby traps, and then we have a piece here on the Viet Cong. And it's incredible. I got this book and it seemed quite thin, but actually when I've opened it up, there is so much packed into it. Well over 100 pages. So next we've got the post-game sequence, and that's quite important, particularly when you play a campaign, which in fact is the next part. And this whole section talks about picking your platoon or forming your platoon. You get some army rosters that you can fill in or photocopy and then fill in separately. It's got various other bits that you need to know about building this, and you can create them from scratch by rolling for them. and so on and so forth. So again, really it's full of everything you'll need, and it's clearly thought out. Now, towards the end, we've got to the appendix and the quick reference charts. I think the quick reference charts are 2 double-sided pages, which is, you know, nice and short. The tables are clearly laid out, and then we get this token sheet as well. A couple of blank rosters that we can photocopy and then use to create them, and then a couple of vehicle data cards as well. A lot of people will be pleased to know this has got an index. I know a lot of people call out for indexes these days, so it's really nice that Warwick's put them in there. And then finally, we've got this section with this dotted line just symbolising that these last pieces can be pulled out. They are a little bit thicker than the paper, I believe, and you get a couple of the 2 quick reference sheets and the tokens that you'll need, the chits that you'll need there, and then this lovely picture right at the end. So that brings us to the end of this quick flick through review. It's not a review of the rules per se, just more the rule book. I just think it's wonderful. I'm so glad I bought it on the pre-order. It's such high quality, and I'm just really excited actually to get this on the table, read through the rules, get a game on the table, and have a game with the guys down the club. So yeah, definitely look out. I'll hopefully put some more content on about this, whether it's painting figures, making terrain, or putting some games on as well. So there we have it, a quick review of the rulebook NARM 68. Really pleased to have that in my collection, and a little bit of a bonus for you guys as a midweek snap decision to do a video of this. So next video up will be my 3D terrain review video that I mentioned in my last video, so that'll be out on Sunday. And as always, thank you to all your support, to everyone for all your support for the channel. We are getting really close to that 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't yet subscribed, do hit that subscribe button, like and comment as usual. And until next time guys, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.